The question is that the motion be agreed to. I call the Honourable Member Nikki Wagner.
Thank you very much, Mr Speaker. And I'm absolutely delighted to support this Hutt City Council graffiti removal bill at its third reading. And I was interested that the Trevor Mallard said that it's a simple bill, and he's absolutely right. It's simple, it's good, it's sensible, it's straightforward, and I think it's the credit to the Hutt City Council for bringing it. We didn't have to do much work on it at all, and just a few slight amendments and a few tweaks. And the Select Committee did work well on the bill. It was actually interesting because a lot of these issues of graffiti are things that we come across in our own cities. Really what this bill is all about, and Trevor Mallard has explained, it's about giving the City Council, the Hutt City Council, the ability to enter private land to remove graffiti from buildings that are in the public view. Not round the back, but in the public view, where they do give a bad influence on the community. And I'm also interested in picking up on the discussions about how people feel about graffiti in their community. I mean, the first thought about that, and I've had graffiti on my house, because I live in the centre of Christchurch. The house is now knocked down, but before it was knocked down, it's absolutely impinges on you. You think, why are these people painting nasty things all over my wall? It's an invasion of your privacy. It's an invasion of something that you care about, something that you've worked hard to look after and to spend good money on too. Graffiti is a major problem in the urban areas, and I have to say that the Hutt Valley has been particularly hard hit with this. And it is that damage to property that upsets people. It does give a symbol of neglect, and it's something that the community really does want to get rid of. And the Hutt City Council does have good processes to deal with the problem, and it has actually invested significant amounts of money to remove. They have a rapid removal process, and I believe that they have very good contractors who are very experienced in this area. But it's not cheap. They spend over $300,000 doing that work, and so we support them because they're doing it for the good of the community. Now, the problem that we're trying to address with this bill is the fact that some landlords, not all, some landlords, particularly absentee landlords, do not respond to the council when it requests the access to clean up their properties. And so they're stuck. They don't know how to deal with that. So this bill will solve that problem. Now, we did get 7 submissions on the bill, and the majority supported the bill, but there were a few issues raised. And one of the issues that we dealt with, and we were really quite careful about, was how we can clarify the difference between graffiti and art. And this is quite an interesting case, because how do you decide? Actually, in the end, we chose a definition which was consistent with Section 11A of the Summary Offences Act 1981. And what this did, it identified graffiti as something that damages and defaces. It actually listed a numerous amount of methods you could use to do that, but the crucial issue that it was done without lawful authority or the consent of the occupier and owner. Because sometimes it's actually quite hard to tell the difference. There's been some delightful stories of magnificent graffiti art that's been in galleries around the world that suddenly the cleaners have come in and cleaned it away. And I think we've seen even people in our own cities who we've got young people who've been doing tagging, who've been involved in this sort of process, actually are quite creative and have some good ideas about art, and we've been able to use them and get them out there over-painting things. And the funny thing is that if a graffiti artist actually puts a lot of effort into designing a painting to go over an area that has been tagged, the chances are it won't be tagged again, because if they've got the mana that they are actually creating such a good work, nobody wants to destroy it. In actual fact, in our city in Christchurch, we've got several places where they could never control the graffiti, which the neighbourhood got out, painted beautifully, and one of them is in the Shirley area where the rugby, not rugby, the other one. What's it called?
League.
League, that's right, the League Club. And they had this great big huge wall that was always being tagged, and so in the end they got out there, they got out the paint, the whole club painted it back, and it's never looked better ever since. Now, there was one other tweak that we looked at in this bill. We were concerned that the council was transparent about the authority it had to access private property to remove graffiti, and we also wanted to make sure that those contractors were easily identified by the public. So we actually made some changes to the bill to make that happen. And the final concern was about the council and its liability or its duty of care towards those landlords when it's removing graffiti. Now, we did not want to exempt them for taking reasonable care. We didn't think it was right because contractors across the country have to take reasonable care or otherwise they're liable, and we thought even though this is being done for the public good, they still need to do the job properly. Actually, I think in this case it was probably unnecessary to put it into the bill because the contractor that they have at present is very skilled and does an excellent job. He matches the paint, he looks after the properties, but you never know what's going to happen in the long term, and I think it was really important to cover that. So, in conclusion, this bill was well drafted, and the Select Committee, with the help of advisors, managed to get it into shape quickly and efficiently. It was an interesting bill to work on, and I think we gave a good outcome to the Hutt City Council. As we've heard, the Hutt City Council does have a really advanced graffiti eradication program, and that has had a positive effect on its community, and we hope that this bill will help support that work. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I call the Honourable Annette King.